Hello and welcome to the 50-cent tour of Friday, May 10th, 2013, TGIF. Please find a seat on the Liberty Bus and we will begin our tour. Well, happy news, I guess. IRS apologizes for targeting Patriot groups during 2012 election. You have to wonder why they're admitting that. We'll see, right? I mean, is this really good news? There's got to be some kind of a play being made, right? Maybe we'll see reform. Who knows? 14 state governors warned over state defense forces. I have two articles on this. This Project Camelot says the original article was removed from the net. Growing unrest around the U.S. and actions being taken by various governors in preparation to deal with the continued violations of our Constitution by the federal government. And this Nasara article has a little more extensive information here. And just to put things in perspective, absolute federal supremacy, a crackpot post-antebellum theory. You know, the founding fathers, the reason our country was called the United States is because states were meant to keep their sovereignty. And state sovereignty is a tremendous threat to centralized government, as it was intended to be. So this pull of the federal government to try to bring everything in was never intended by those who crafted the legal framework for this country. Immigration amnesty bill would instantly put millions on welfare. And there's that aspect of the bill, and another aspect that not as many people are talking about: biometric database of all adult Americans hidden in immigration reform. The immigration reform measures the Senate began debating yesterday would create a national biometric database of virtually every adult in the U.S. in what privacy groups fear could be the first step to a ubiquitous national identification system. So, there are always little things hidden in these bills, right? Ninth Circuit. No relief for copyright troll Righthaven. The Ninth Circuit Appeals Court today turned down copyright troll Righthaven's last-ditch effort to salvage its failed business model, upholding the federal district court's decision to dismiss its bogus copyright case on the grounds that it never actually held the copyrights it was suing under. What is a copyright troll? Honestly, I had to look it up. It's kind of like, it's along the same idea as a collection agency. It's not these copyrights don't belong to the people who are suing. The copyrights are actually held by somebody else, and these people claim to represent someone else. It's all very complex, and when you read about it, learn a little bit about it, you'll see that it definitely was just for the court to dismiss the case. It's just an absurdity. Adobe shifts creative software to the cloud, monthly subscription. This might not mean a lot to you. I happen to use Adobe software. Let's just find out what happens here. Is a cloud-based version of Adobe software a better deal for consumers? No. And that's 86%. Will Adobe respond to this? I seriously doubt it. Sounds like they've already made the decision. What this means is when you use this software in the cloud, you are working off-site. You're actually working, in the cloud. You're not working on your local disk. This to me brings a lot of privacy questions to the front. If somebody hacks you, I mean, what if you're working on a project? What if you're trying to prepare a presentation for a big client and your competitor, I mean, not that they might not be able to hack into your computer, but quite honestly, if I were working on things that I really wanted private, I would take the computer offline, certainly not let it have a wireless connection, and keep your files safe and private. This, to me, I just see so many problems with this. What if you're working on at a deadline, and all of a sudden your internet goes dead? You're stuck. So I see so many problems with this, and I hope people realize not to use the cloud. It says it comes with 20 gigabytes of storage. Man, I would not want my graphics files off-site. I mean, it just seems to me like courting disaster. I've loved Adobe software. It's great. I've been using Photoshop since Photoshop 3 in the mid-90s, but this is definitely a so-called upgrade that I will not be making. It's dishonest to talk about Benghazi without talking about the Syrian war. This whole thing is linked together, and this isn't like the impeachment proceedings in the past where one party is going to be able to make a mockery or humiliate the other party. Everybody, if this all comes to light, really, both parties are going to go down. And it's the same kind of thing with Fast and Furious. We can't blame it on one political party or the other, because there was a legacy of Fast and Furious that was inherited and perpetuated. And these are the kinds of reasons why our government is so sick, because the ball cannot be passed back and forth between Republicans and Democrats. Everybody has to accept responsibility and accept, reform. And media's reporting on Syria as terrible as it was on Iraq. Evidently, the reason Benghazi happened was there were weapons that were being given to Al-Qaeda in Syria by our government. And naturally, they didn't want that to be known. So another cover up, and the media makes it easy because they're not true journalists out there asking questions, trying to find the truth. 17 Air Force officers stripped of authority to launch nukes. This, I don't know. Project Camelot is out there sometimes. I'm not saying I don't believe what they have, but they are not afraid to walk on some thin ice. And the speculation here is about whether these men were removed from these posts because maybe they don't completely trust the military at this time, the government. With Benghazi, there's always this potential for the military to just say enough is enough. Especially with Benghazi, if I were a military commander, would I accept orders from an administration, from higher ups, who I knew did not have my men's best interest at heart? If I knew my men were going to be used as somebody's cannon fodder, probably not. I'm a mother, my instinct is to protect those for whom I'm responsible, and I'm sure a lot of military commanders have the same instinct. The 9 stages of civilization. We are entering the 8th, independence. Now, you could take this as a downer, but actually, we only have one more stage to go until we move to spiritual faith. So, maybe we're close to the end of this cycle, and perhaps the last phase will pass quickly. I think we're already to some extent in the last phase, but the cycle is bondage to spiritual faith to great courage, from courage to liberty, from liberty to abundance, from abundance to selfishness, unfortunately, from selfishness to complacency, from complacency to apathy, from apathy to dependence, from dependence back again into bondage. So, yeah, we need to get through the bondage phase, and then we'll be breaking into the spiritual faith phase, and we can start all over again, right? I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. We need reform. We need restoration, and that the best place for that to come from, and the most likely place for that to come from, is the Holy God. This is the Friday good news bit here. Robin Williams on Wall Street Junkies, absolutely hilarious. This is funny. It is funny. And it's only 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Hope you enjoy that, and hope that you have a great weekend. Hope that you have a mother figure in your life who you will be able to honor this weekend, and just that we remember those who have shown us kindness, mercy, and love. She Who Will Walk in the Dark thanks you for joining in this tour of May 10th. The dawn is coming. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.